Everybody, welcome in. We're back here at Kia of Anniston, Oxford for another edition of the Sam Adams Show. And this edition, all of them have been, has been brought to you by the Kia store here at Anniston, Oxford. If you guys need a car, please come out and see these guys. They're on the, what is it used to call? The Motor Miles, what they called it in the 80s. The Motor Mile here that leads from Anniston over into Oxford. And speaking of Oxford, we had the man himself, Coach Sam Adams, here with me. And Coach, you guys had a real tough loss last week to Centerpoint, which was basically for playoff seeding across the board. You knew going into that game that they were going to be a very tough game. They're very experienced and very dynamic offensively, what they do. And you guys came up a little bit short, but take us back to last Friday night and how all that transpired.
Yeah, we started off the game, caused a turnover at the beginning, but then kicked the field goal, and really first couple of drives that played pretty well on defense and kept those guys bottled up. The quarterback and running back, they've ripped long runs against everybody they've played all year long, and it's going to be difficult to get them on the ground repeatedly. And that's kind of the way that it went over the course of the game. As it went on, anytime you're trying to make a one-on-one tackle against those guys, it's going to be tough. Yeah. And we had some of those kind of situations, and those guys made the plays that they needed to make. And our guys continued to fight and all that. We kicked a few onside kicks at the end of the game, trying to narrow the margin a little bit, and we could never really get back in striking distance with them after about halftime or so.
What was your message to the guys after that game? Because I know going into that game, everything was there in front of you still to play for. And
yeah,
I mean, you're still going to the playoffs, which is the main factor, getting in those playoffs, and that's huge. But I know you had a lot more on the line in that game that you'd like to got away with a win right there.
Yeah, well, I didn't feel like, as a coach, I did a really good job of just getting them emotionally ready to play. And I didn't feel like we were necessarily the most excited team to play on Friday, and then that showed. So we're just trying to figure out, what are the buttons that we got to push each week, because it's not always the same ones every week.
Right.
What are the buttons that we got to push each week in order to get our guys playing with that kind of fever pitch? We have done that at times this year, and at other times we have not. So that's really what we're trying to make sure that we don't allow to happen again, is that the other team is more excited to play the game than we are.
Now, I believe it's you that told me Bobby Bowden said you can only get your guys up 4 times a year, and I do believe that.
Yeah.
But this week is a different set of challenges. I don't think you could have scripted a better opponent to play than Jacksonville heading into the playoffs, because everybody's going to have good quarterback play, and they have one of the best signal callers here in the state of Alabama, and Jim Ogles. So talk to us about what you've seen from these guys this week.
Yeah, they're a really good team. I mean, there's no other way to say it. They've played some tough teams on their schedule. The fact that they're in a smaller class is really completely irrelevant. They've got good players, and they got good coaches, and they run a good scheme, and all that, all the above. So we got to show some maturity and practice the way we need to practice and prepare the way that we need to prepare. And I know there'll be a lot of people at the game Friday, with being one of these kind of local type games. Sure, we'll have a really good atmosphere. It'll be our senior night, so we'll be recognizing the 18 seniors that we have that'll be moving on after this season is done, hopefully several weeks from now. But I know it'll be a good environment out there, and it'll be 2 good teams duking it out.
How good is it to play somebody in the county like this? Because it's bragging rights as well as a big game. But what I like about it is the timing of it. It's going to give you guys and them a good look before the playoffs start. Yeah,
we both have a lot of big things coming ahead of us, after this game. But I think that's one of the unique things about Oxford being a 6A school and geographically located where we are, is you don't have a lot of those natural rivalries that would be in your region and stuff like that. Pell City is a rivalry, but I mean that's still with 25-30 minutes away and similar size school, but it's not like you're playing the team from next door. Like you get in a lot of other communities and towns across the state. So it's an important game for both of us, and we're looking forward to getting after it on Friday.
Coach, you guys have had to grow up this year. Again, we talked about this all season. The guys, you're playing a younger team, not as young as last year, but younger. What have you learned about this bunch, especially how they've matured over this season?
Well, they're going to respond the right way after things don't go well, or things do go well. Yeah, I mean, we're going to bounce back. That's been something I've been impressed with these guys. It's in the moment sometimes as a young team, guys can get overly emotional, and football is a game that should be played off of emotion up to a certain extent, but you can't allow that emotion to carry over from one play to the next. We've kind of struggled with that at different points within the games this year, but I think once we've had time to digest the game on a Sunday when we bring our guys in and watch the film and all that, I think they've done a good job of making the adjustments that they need to make and moving on to play the next game. So it's every week has a life of its own. That's
right.
that's
true.
That's something that's
true.
It's hard for a lot of people to really kind of understand. We've had moments this year where we played really well. Just went toe to toe with a highly ranked 6A team the week before, and then I think this week we definitely didn't have as good of a showing against another really good team that is not necessarily. This is not a slide against Centerpoint, but people don't think of Centerpoint as a name brand 6A team because they've been 5A. They just moved up. It's not an opponent that's been familiar to our guys, and maybe some of our guys didn't necessarily take that seriously when we tried to explain to them and show them how good they were going to be. Because they'd never heard of Centerpoint before as a 6A kind of team. They just seen their scores in the paper and stuff like that.
That's right.
So sometimes the lessons have to be learned the hard way.
That's right.
And hopefully we're moving on and learning from that.
Well, I can assure you, I watched them with my own two eyes play Pinson Valley, and for those fans who do or do not know, they were beating Pinson Valley by 20 points early in the first, and that thing could have gotten even uglier had a call or two not go their way, because it looked like it was about to spiral out and be a 40-something to 14 game, and then finally Pinson Valley had some things go right, but it was total domination in the first half. Most of I'd say about 80% of that first half against them. So they're a very formidable opponent. And, and it wouldn't surprise me if you guys didn't see each other again at some point in the playoffs. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now, I know you don't look ahead. You always take everything one game at a time, and that's what coach is supposed to do. But in the grand scheme of things, the playoffs is what you want. And it looks to me like you guys are playing Gardendale. Is another very, very, very good football team who has a Florida commit on their defensive side, but they got athletes everywhere. Not jumping ahead, but when do you guys start preparing for them?
We won't really get started on that until the weekend. After this game's behind us and all that. I'm sure some coaches can kind of have two different game plans in their head when they're coaching a game on Friday night. I can't really operate that way. I don't have the ability to put one to the side and focus on the other one. Naturally, when we pop on a couple plays of film, just kind of maybe get the general idea at some point during the week. Probably so. But as far as like putting together a concrete game plan, we won't get to that till the weekend. But I know that they're a really good team, the region champ out of Birmingham region, coming off a big win over Mountain Brook this last week. It was one that not a lot of people picked them to win.
That's right.
And they got a really good coaching staff. Chad Eads, their head coach, a guy they used to work with a few years ago. We're on the same staff together and coached in the All-Star game together this past year. He's a good friend of mine and really one of the good guys in the business. And they got a lot of other good staff members alongside him. So it'll be a good test for us for sure.
Yeah, Coach Eads, I got to meet him. He was a big part of those Hoover championship run there for many years under both Josh Niblett and Rush Probst at the time. So he's good pedigree, and you guys knowing each other, I'm sure it'll be fun. Maybe you can talk a little trash in Montgomery. So you guys still going to Montgomery?
We do. The first round games, it's in person. So this Saturday, everybody will have to go in person. Rounds 2 and 3 will be virtual, and then you're back in person for rounds 4 and 5. That's the way they're doing it now.
Coach, I hope you get to make 3 trips.
Hey, that'd be great. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome, man. And I don't know how you guys do that, because some guys, it's a haul for some guys to be there.
I know. It's really, I think some of the, I'm not one of the young guys anymore, but I think some of the older guys, enjoy it maybe more than some of the younger ones, just because it's it's been a thing that's been there for so long.
That's right.
I personally wish we could do the whole thing. There's nothing that we do in those meetings that we couldn't do virtual.
Yeah.
I mean, but a lot of it's just kind of the tradition of the way things have been done.
I guess if somebody gave me a ticket to the playoffs and guaranteed me to be there, I guess I'd roll down
Yeah.
there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Well, Coach, got a lot to play for this week, and again, very formidable opponent, and I'm sure Calhoun County in general, football fans in this county is going to show up to that game, as you said, and it's a big night for Oxford, being senior night, and you want these seniors to go out the right way. So everybody who's watching this, please be there. Probably be there early because it's going to be packed, I imagine, and you're going to see a very formidable opponent that's going to get you guys ready to play Gardendale and many other teams in the playoffs.
That's right.
Coach, thank you so much, and we'll see you again here next week, and go Big O.
Go Big O.